Wanted me, I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I know this one was a long time coming, considering the fact that I practically promised OC content for over a year and never came out with it. Better late than never, am I right? I never actually made OC content because I didn't really feel like anyone was interested in it, but I'm kind of bored and I want to, so I won't be going over like the lore of the story just yet, because it's extremely complicated and I also have not written all of it. I'll just be introducing my OCs basically. Also this video is scripted, but knowing me, I probably won't stay on script for long. But yeah, let's get started with Gem. She's the main character of the story, is around 15 years old. She's Indian, overzealous, spontaneous, an Aquarius, and an ENFP-t. Alliteration, hello. She is kind of sort of my persona, but not really, but I do share a lot of traits with her. I made her a long time ago. She was like one of my first OCs ever, and she maintained a lot of the same traits, except she was white, say it like that, and a cat. She kept the short blue hair and the nerdiness, but her design definitely changed as it like evolved from Roblox to Gacha Life to what was essentially my weeaboo phase. We don't need to talk about it, but she has a brother named Shard, and her best friend's name is Kaito, although she is just hopelessly pining over him during the majority of the story. Wow, I wonder who the love interest is. Other close friends include Rosé, Petal, Thistle, Sapphire, and Urie, which probably will not make sense to you yet because you don't know who they are, but you'll see eventually. She possesses the power of I should probably explain this. They all have powers because I don't know, they didn't have powers before, but I'm a sucker for magical girl arcs, so they're all gonna have magical girl arcs, which these powers will make sense for. But Gem possesses the power of Vidium, which is a word that represents the power of nature in the story. This power gives the skills of agility, stealth, and nature healing. There's basically two types of healing in the story, but nature healing is the healing of like exterior complications like wounds, and the physical ability of casting wind/earth energy. Her biggest hobby is arts, if you can tell from her design, and I'll play her voice claims real quick. Hope I don't get copyright strike, that would be very delightful.
Maybe just for once it would be nice to go unnoticed. I don't want your sympathy, I guess I've had it rough, but you don't really care. Get and then I ask for more. A different time is all I'm asking for. Pack up all my things and hurry out the door. I never asked to be driven away and I thought.
But yeah, here's the Pinterest board I made of things that remind me of her, or like design concepts, and here is a Spotify playlist of songs that remind me of her situations. It's private, so yeah, a lot of her love life is her being a hopeless romantic. That sounds familiar. She's extremely selfless to the point where it ends up hurting her. She helps Kaito with his love life, watching him date like so many people, and ran to her in the process, and it makes her feel used and replaceable, as if she didn't mean anything to him in the first place, even though they've been friends for like years. Kaito is a 16 years old ESTP-t Sagittarius who's half Indonesian and half Japanese. He's kind, but he doesn't fully appreciate the things he has until he loses them. He's also a very old OC who also used to be white and had neon black to teal hair. I had a really big diversity problem with my OCs when they were made, if you couldn't tell already. They were all like light-skinned and pretty much the same character in different fonts, but I really enjoy what my characters are now. I haven't really established Kaito's family just yet. He has a younger sister named Kay, or Kaylee, but I have a vague idea for her, but I don't really know. He also has a dog named Tez. Look at the floof. His best friend is Gem, as we've established, and his other close friends include Thistle, Thorn, Shard, and Rosé. So like he basically has a huge crush on Gem, but he doesn't realize it until they grow distant after he gets into a long relationship with someone. I won't spoil it, but it's pretty cute. He likes hardwood floors, loose clothing, acoustics? Is that yeah, that's the word. Coffee, rings, architecture, R&B, and video games. He does not like change, locker rooms, heat, flies, and physics. Wow, I really put a lot of description into this. He has the power of Y, which is a word that represents the power of water in the story. This power gives a skill of speed, serenity, and water healing, which is the second type of healing, and it heals internal issues like clotting, like blood clotting, stuff like that. I don't know why that was the first example I thought of. And the physical ability of casting streams of water and ice. His biggest hobby is music. He plays like 5 instruments, including guitar, bass, the drums, piano, the violin, and he also likes to sing, so kind of a one-man band over here. But yeah, here are his voice claims real quick. But yeah, here's a Pinterest board I made of stuff that remind me of him, or like concepts and stuff. And here's a Spotify playlist of songs that remind me of him. Kaito is extremely insecure and feels like he isn't worth something if he doesn't have a romantic partner, so he like practically dumps all of his emotions onto Gem without realizing that it's hurting her, and surprise surprise, takes her for granted. I wouldn't say he's a hopeless romantic, I'd say that he's just very lonely and wants some love. Next character, we got Shard. Full name Sharad, is around 19 years old and is Gem's older brother. He's an Indian Capricorn ESTJA with a love for innovation. He's very calm and collected and is kind of the dad of the group. His design is also very old, except his name never changed. Just pretty much everything else about him. What was weird about his old design, that it was pretty much just Kaito but red. Like, I'm not joking, instead of Kaito's black to teal hair, it was black to red. I don't know how that changed to this, but here we go. Also, yes, I did re-download like 3 gacha games for the sake of this video. What are you gonna do about it? Shard likes books, alchemy, chai, libraries, quiet places, sunsets, museums, and chemistry. He does not like clutter, hyperpop, feeling inferior, spiders, and feeling out of control. His love interest is Lune, who we'll introduce later, and his close friends include Lune, Lucia, Thorn, and Kaito. He has the power of Kimia, which is a word that represents the power of alchemy. This power is one of the most powerful ones in the citrusgem lore. It is essentially the power of creation. The physical power basically gives the beholder the ability to spawn hybrids of things around them with a vision for a weapon. That makes absolutely no sense, but imagine being in a mine while imagining, like in this example, a sword that you want to create. With this power, you have the ability to take items near you and craft a weapon or an object at your will without moving a muscle. Instead of taking items away from around you, they just basically duplicate them. It's a process that only the beholder can witness, which is why to someone without the power, it almost seems like the objects are just being crafted out of thin air. Now, the more experience you have with the power, the further the proximity to craft will be. I low-key have no idea if you understood that. I honestly have not like worked on like this power that much. But yeah, here are his voice claims real quick.
A simple song that was until you came along. Now in its place is something new. I hear it when I look at you.
今の君はどっちなのかな。本当。五条悟、呪術高専で1年を担当して人の心配してる場合じゃないよ。
Everything comes at a cost, and if you aspire to things that most could never dream of, then naturally, there will be an unimaginable price to pay.
I don't think I made a Spotify playlist for him. If I did, I'll put it on screen, as well as the Pinterest board I made for him. But yeah, next character, Lune, or Looney. Lune is 18 years old. The original design was pretty much him, but like gender bent. Like they were a girl, but like had the exact same personality, which is quite interesting. But yeah, Lune is an INTJT Gemini Czech with a cheesecake addiction. They grew up poor and committed very much so thievery, and that is actually how he met Shard, by attempted robbery. I know, it's quite romantic. Lune has Asperger's syndrome, which affects their ability to communicate well, and it especially affected them when they were growing up. While growing up, Lune never knew how to express what he wanted in words or how to express his emotions. His father was too poor to afford a diagnosis and never sought out any guidance, as he was quite frankly just trying to afford another meal for the both of them. So Lune ended up growing up without communicating his emotions or just sharing anything about him at all, because he never really thought to do otherwise. To Lune, social interaction was something that he didn't need to worry about until him and his father could afford to like actually live comfortably instead of living paycheck to paycheck, or in Lune's case, thievery to thievery. Like that pyramid of psychological needs or whatever, you know. Eventually, his father got a work opportunity in England, trying to generate enough money for the both of them. So he left Lune alone to the land of... Shoot, I still don't have a name. I don't have a name for where any of them live. Suggestions down below. Lune's power is called Thakos, which in this story represents the power of the moon. It grants the abilities of being able to recall prophecies, and the physical power is something I had a lot of fun coming up with. Basically, the power of his power, bars, varies with the phase of the moon. When in a new moon phase, their power is dormant. In crescents and gibbouses, their power is like, it's a normal amount of power, but when in a full moon phase, it's very powerful. It's like overpowered. So yeah, this power is associated with wolves because moon, I don't know, which is why he's a wolf boy. That's my excuse. He likes watching sunsets, stargazing, astrology, reading, lamps, classical music, architecture, paintings, and archery. He does not like loud noises, tight-fitting clothing like turtlenecks and tights, and he also does not like dishonesty. He also runs a dog shelter. Sorry, I just saw this. I'm like looking over his reference sheet. But yeah, he runs a dog shelter after his dad left. Not for the money. They don't offer him money. He just has a dog shelter. I don't know. Silly guy. Here are his voice claims.
I've lost my cool, I'm not sure how to act. not even sure how I can keep my. 'Cause it's not romantic, I swear. I'm not gasping for air. I want you to be here, but please don't come near. I can't help but repeat myself. I know it's not your fault. Still lately I begin to shake for no reason at all. You know I find it hard to understand. Pay a visit to the doctor, 'cause I have a sweet tooth for you.
I don't have a Spotify playlist for him, so here is the Pinterest board that reminds me of him. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 at a time here. So these 4 are siblings, but were somewhat separated growing up. Rosé, who's 15, Thistle, who's 16, and Thorn, who was 17, grew up with their dad, while Petal, who is 15, grew up with their mom. Their parents had a pretty rocky relationship, and during a fight years ago, Petal's mom took Petal while their father took the other 3. Petal and Rosé are twins, and were obviously devastated to see that they were separated when they were so young. Their father was abusive, and after years of living with him, the 3 decided to run away. After asking around, they finally found where their mother lived, and after multiple legal battles, their mom won custody and the kids were reunited. Wow. I don't know if this makes any sense again. Okay, so we're gonna start with Rosé, who is an Aries, half Emirati and half Pakistani, and an ESFPA. Their power is known as Fotia, which is the power of fire. This power is definitely the most destructive, as its given ability is literally just to be able to destroy things the most efficiently out of like any of the other powers. It doesn't have any benefits besides being so destructive, but it is the basically the strongest power there is. The strongest in this case, of course, meaning the most damaging. Is it a power that a lot of people want to have? No, because there's not really a need for it in current society. You don't really need to kill things. Hopefully. Rosé likes parties, high fives, caffeine, emojis, Jolly Ranchers, Christmas movies, and strawberries. They do not like their dad, reading, quietness, vegetables, driving, and lines. Not lines that you draw, but waiting in lines. Yeah, I should have written that. In the speed paint, they are the 3rd one down. Okay, this is where the script ends, because I guess I got tired, so I'm just gonna improvise. Rosé is extremely extroverted and will never stop talking. They're very hyper. They'll just be bouncing off the walls, and you just gotta live with it. I don't want to drag on about these characters for too long, so I'm just gonna say some general information. But yeah, I'm gonna play Rosé's voice claims here in a sec.
On every thorn, you're already halfway out the door. And I've never looked so old, and I have never been so cold. And it is 85 degrees.
Cut me some slack, please! Well, your love life is one of labyrinthian complexity, and it is 7 in the morning. We have to go to this stupid pep rally. Oh. And I woke up looking like a total corpse. You're literally quoting me to me. You do realize that.
And here's her Pinterest board. But yeah, moving on to Petal. Petal is also an Aries, half Emirati and half Pakistani, and an INTJT, which I just realized is the actual opposite of Rosé. That's crazy. Actually, they are pretty much opposites. But yeah, Petal likes flowers, long walks, stationery, quiet places, and cough drops for some reason. I don't know. Her main hobbies include painting and reading. She's one of those landscape painters, I feel like. She'd paint those really pretty aesthetic nature portraits, sky portraits, you know? She does not like crowds, scary movies, haunted houses. She doesn't mess with the horror stuff. She has a soy allergy, she has a fear of heights, and she's also extremely quiet. She doesn't really show that much emotion to people besides her siblings, so a lot of people are intimidated by her. But she's extremely kind and caring. She has this little pet cat. I actually don't have a name for the cat, but she has a cat. It was a stray and she took it in. I don't know. It's a calico cat. I have an idea. I just don't have a name. She has the power of Swada, which basically just means it's the power of sound. It basically gives her the ability to sense anything around her. Whenever you're born with this ability, you won't be able to hear anything from a very far radius. But kids with this power in this universe, they definitely grow up with oversensory issues. If you can hear a pin drop in a crowd of people talking all over each other, and you can basically hear every single thing and not being able to block out any of it, it's definitely very overwhelming. But the more experienced you are in it, and the older you grow, the further you can hear, and the more you're able to manage it. The physical ability that people who have this power have is basically they can emit sound waves. It's very advantageous for people who fight with swords, or if you're combating against somebody who fights with weapons and swords, because if you emit sound waves, they're gonna drop their weapon and hold their hands to their ears, you know what I mean? Okay, I definitely talked about her power for far too long, but yeah, here are her voice claims.
We're dancing in the moonlight, then your eyes looked to mine. Why didn't you make your way over?
yeah, here's Petal's Pinterest board, and next up we got Thistle. Thistle is a 16-year-old boy who is the middle child of this group. He's a Pisces and an ISFJT. He's pretty shy, but he speaks up when he needs to. He likes gardening, engineering, and herbal teas. He does not like meat, crossbody bags, he says they're impractical, and insects. His old design is absolutely nothing like it is now. I was genuinely shocked when I pulled up like older screenshots, because how are these the same character? His love interest is Urie, who will probably have a really short intro in here, and his close friends include Lucia, Kaito, Gem, and Shard. Like Gem, he has the power of Vidium, which is the first power repeat. Dang. Here's voice claims.
Clouds looking strange, paper cup fingers dancing on the strings. If I could see you right now, I dance just for you. When the night light goes out, would you dance for me too?
And here's his Pinterest board, which has basically nothing on it. But yeah, time for Thorn. Thorn is a 17-year-old who's the eldest sibling. He's a Taurus and an ENFJA. He's pretty loud and is never scared to speak his mind. He's also a pretty big delinquent, but he always means well, so. He likes fashion, thriller shows, running, iced coffee, and soccer. He doesn't like slow songs, dark chocolate, the cold, and humidity. His old design is also whack. They're literally the exact opposite. It's kind of scary. Thorn's love interest is named Sapphire, and his close friends include Ibu, Kaito, and Shard. Thorn has the power of Nezunya, which represents the power of darkness. This power grants a physical ability that allows Thorn to cast dark orbs of light infused with pressure that aid in knocking opponents off their feet. This power is heavily associated with the opposite, Geist, which represents the power of brightness. They're both essentially the powers of light. There's a spectrum called the Lux spectrum in the story, which have those two as extremes, but they have intense differences. People with intense Nezunya derive their power from negative energy. This means that they become more powerful when people around them are upset. People with Nezunya have a negative stigma attached to them, considering the fact that they also have the ability to manipulate others skillfully and almost hypnotically, which is why people under Nezunya often describe themselves as being under the Lux spectrum. Thorn, unlike many with Nezunya, does not use his powers for evil. The loophole to this power is the fact that the person who possesses it can also contribute, if not facilitate, all the negative energy and still charge their power. In this case, Thorn is able to recall memories of his father or other painful memories that generate anger and sadness in order to charge his own power instead of aggravating those around him. It's a skill that usually takes long to perfect, as it's a lot easier to aggravate others for your own sake than to do the opposite. Anyways, I realize I've rambled about the specific power for far too long, so here are Thorn's voice claims.
Whoa, whoa, keep my business off the ground. Switch my style like I switch hands. Going to war in foreign land. Fuck out the way, bitch, back it up. Shit, really, I can't treat like big deals. These toys don't come in no kids meal. Been there, done that, unseen it. Now my girl better fuck it like she is. They be fucking on my lyrics on jeans.
And here's his Pinterest board. Okay, 4 more characters today before I lose my sanity. We can do this, guys. Starting with number 1, Sapphire. Sapphire is a 17-year-old Kenyan Leo and an INTJA or an ENTJA. She's an ambivert. She likes pop music, archery, collecting bones, jewelry, especially bracelets, wired earbuds, and tote bags. Her old design was an absolute eyesore, but I honestly love what she looks like now. Her love interest is Thorn. Although she acts like she hates him, she secretly loves him, and her close friends include Urie, Gem, Rosé, and Kai. Okay, now we go crazy. So, in this story, some people are born with hybrid powers. Whether it be nature and stone, water and alchemy, all hybrids are extremely rare. So rare, in fact, that people with hybrid powers are seen as expensive and wanted by evil organizations. Sapphire was one of them, and at an early age, she was captured. Her parents wanted the money and quite frankly could not care less, so they sold her to a laboratory which trained her to make her powers as vicious and destructive as possible. Now, Sapphire has the powers of destruction and defense, fire and stone, or fucha and stain, which are possibly the best combinations of powers the evil organization could ask for. So after a couple of months of like absolute torture, because they treated those children horribly in those laboratories, Sapphire broke out and ran so far away it ended up lost in the woods about 8 miles away from the facility. This is whenever she was around 4. Now, about 10 hours after she had ran there, Royal Guards were doing their northern patrol in the same woods that Sapphire had ran to and found her eating probable poisonous berries on a rock cross-legged. They had taken her back to the royal family because she was on royal soil, and spontaneously the king and queen decided to name her their daughter. See, the queen was not able to have a child, and the king had grown tired and upset because of it. So when Sapphire was practically handed to them on a silver platter, hybrid abilities and all, the queen was so excited to have a potential daughter, and the king a potential warrior. I don't really know why they just spontaneously decided to name her their daughter. Just don't think about it too much. See, Sapphire wasn't born with hybrid powers with no skill. Even at a young age, she had the fighting skills and a battle IQ of an army general in his late 40s, and so she became one of the most prestigious warriors in the land, yet she still attends a public school and is seemingly a normal person to the average eye. But yeah, here's her voice claim. Board. Okay, lightning round, we got Urie. Urie is a Libra and a 16-year-old Greek ESFJT. She's sweet but very dainty and graceful with all that she does, which is why she also has the power of Y, water. However, Urie focuses on ice rather than water like Kaito. Some people who have Y like using liquid water, while some people prefer solid water like ice, and Urie is one of them. She likes ribbed camisoles, swing sets, lacy socks, raspberries, and cold air. But yeah, here are her voice claims.
I still love hymns come to play. Overthinking what I wore, did I leave him wanting more that day?
The hours at which dew forms on the glazed lilies and disappears again. 106,327 heartbeats. The time that has passed since I last knew rest.
And here's her Pinterest board. Okay, number 3, Lucia. Lucia is a 19-year-old Salvadorian Virgo who's an INFP-A. She's in her second year of college and is an absolute nerd. Nerd alert. She also has hybrid powers. She has the power of deformar, which means she can warp dimensions and time. And she has the power of chemia, alchemy, as well. She's probably the most powerful out of the characters here, as her hybrid is not only extremely rare, but contains the most sought-after abilities. She runs a portal room, which is one of the most vital locations in the story, and she's basically the brains behind the group. Her and Shard go to college together, and they're pretty much besties. She likes podcasts, microscopes, mangoes, building furniture, and D&D. She does not like cooking, superstitions, and fog. She has 2 hairstyles that I can't choose between. One of them is like long, brown, like natural hair, and the other one's like a little cute wolf cut, sucrose looking hair. But I don't know which one I like more. Maybe I'll just do the wolf cut with brown hair, but I have way too many brown haired characters already, so I don't know what to do. I could make her ginger. I don't know. Here are voice claims.
What if you didn't do the ritual? Not the same feather dustin', straight A, goody goody. Such a rebel now. You've really changed, and I'm proud of you.
Okay, I actually do not have a Pinterest board for her, so we're gonna move on to the last character of this video, at least, Ibu. Full name Ibu-kun is a Benin 17-year-old Scorpio ENTJA. His mom passed away when he was born, so his grandmother named him after her, Ibu-kun meaning blessing. Stigma surrounds Ibu as he gives off a mysterious aura that makes people dislike him. This is largely due to the fact that people know he's under the Lex spectrum, but automatically assume his power is Nesna. But like, yeah, Ibu is guyish. Nobody believes he is though, due to his demeanor. He likes tarot tea, tiramisu, pine trees, and cityscapes. Ibu doesn't feel romantic attraction, only physical attraction. He dates people mostly just to make them happy. Making others feel better not only makes him happier, it also fuels his power. Guyish, being the opposite of Nesna, fuels someone's power when surrounding individuals are happier, or have, like, positive emotions. But yeah, here his voice claims.
You pay the price, I'm in 95. Revolve around my entire life. Brush your teeth, you onion boy. Brush them all for everyone but me. So sweetly, with the flavor. Then hit with the...
Oh my god, this is the last voiceover of this video. Oh my god, I'm so tired. I just want to add the overlays and be done. But yeah, here's Ibu's Spotify playlist, and here is his Pinterest board. Thank you so much for watching. Gosh, this video is literally so long. Shout out if you make it all the way through. Comment this emoji. I love you so much. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!